do you think the Mothman would be moth-splaining everything to you because he knows what's going to happen?
He like sits you down 2 weeks before Christmas. He's like, I'm not going to want that foot massager. And you're like, fuck.
This is We Bleed Orange and Black, the podcast for Halloween and horror lovers. Join us as we interview creators, discuss our favorite horrors, and share original spooky stories. I'm Jeff C. Carter, and this week we're talking with the authors of Confirmed Sightings, a triple cryptid creature feature. Returning guest P.L. McMillan is a writer of sci-fi and cosmic horror from the murder slurpy capital of Canada. Her fiction has appeared in Cosmic Horror Monthly, Strange Land Short Stories, Negative Space, and podcasts, including No Sleep and Nocturnal Transmissions. She's the host of Plim Talks and the co-host of the Dead Languages podcast. She lives in Colorado with her husband and 2 black cats. Welcome back to the show, Plim.
Well, howdy.
Our next guest is Bridgette D. Brave. She is a writer and reluctant lawyer living at the edge of the Ozarks. She's a co-host of the Wandering Monster podcast and Twitch stream, where she stress tests tabletop RPGs. Welcome to the show, Bridgette.
Thank you.
Our final guest is Ryan Marie Ketterer. She is a writer, runner, and coder from Massachusetts. Her work can be found in several anthologies, Clark's World, Dark Matter Magazine, and Cosmic Horror Monthly. Welcome to the show, gang.
Thank you.
So I have an icebreaker for all of you. If you got a really good picture of a cryptid, would you share it or keep it to yourself?
Absolutely share it.
Yeah, agreed. Share it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So even if hunters went and wiped out this cryptid, you'd just be all for it? You just get that cash?
I would lie where I found it. I'd be like, yeah, so I found this in Alaska. And then the Mothman's in like fucking Florida. I'd be like, good luck, hunters.
Yeah, but you know those geo hunters who can look at any picture and figure out from the trees and the time of day exactly where in the country and when it was taken. You'd Photoshop it? Well, then the authenticity is in question.
So Mothman would still be safe. Fight me.
But no one would care that you had a picture if you're Photoshopping it then. Why not just Photoshop a fake picture?
Because I'd keep the real one for myself and my friends would know it was real.
So you'd keep it to yourself?
No, I would still share a type of it that people couldn't track. And you can't fight me on this logic, Jeff, because you won't win.
Seems like you're just trying to sell pictures of pantless Mothmen.
Have you seen my booty Mothman sticker?
What do you think I'm referring to?
Oh, good point.
All right. So Plim is wrong. Ryan, how about you?
Oh, I would definitely share it. Yeah.
Nice.
I think the question of what if people hunted it, that's a good question. I would make sure that the cryptid, whatever one it is in healthy supply so that if people did try to hunt it, they'd get wiped out. Don't mess with cryptids. I
like that answer, Bridgette.
I'm thinking about my own cryptid in my story, and yeah, metadata, all of that still in there. Come get this thing. It's out of control. So
I like that. So it's conservation by way of population control. All right, strong. Let's go around the horn here in reverse order. Bridgette, who or what is your favorite cryptid?
So mine is actually, and this might be surprising, the hodag from Wisconsin. It is the weirdest cryptid I think I've come across.
Those lumber camp monsters are a rare breed.
And it's hideous. I mean, look at that thing. It's incredible in every single sense of the word.
Can you give us a slug line on the hodag?
Well, see, the thing about the hodag is it's in Wisconsin, which is kind of Narnia anyway. So I'd say hodag, not Wisconsin's best, but Wisconsin's weirdest.
For those playing along at home, the hodag is a large bullhorned carnivore with a row of thick curved spines down its back. It looks a little bit like a terror dog from the original Ghostbusters. It was said to be born from the ashes of cremated oxen. as the incarnation of the accumulation of abuse the animals suffered at the hands of their masters. That's a very sweet, pro-animal, anti-capitalist cryptid.
Yeah, it's a metal animal. It's just all around.
Metal as hell.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you've got some stiff competition. Ryan, who or what is your favorite cryptid?
I'm really sad I didn't know about that cryptid for my story in Confirmed Sightings. Bridgette, I'm disappointed you didn't.
It's
yell
for
at
the
me.
sequel,
Yeah, the sequel, exactly.
Rise of the Hodag.
My favorite cryptid is probably Nessie. I love that Nessie is. Does that count? Is that a cryptid? I think it
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I've ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to go to Scotland and try and find it. I love looking at pictures and all that. Yeah, I believe in Nessie, and I believe in Champy, which is the same sort of monster, Nessie's little sister or brother in Lake Champlain up in Vermont.
Very good. Plim,
I think mine's obvious, right? I love Mothman.
what do you love about Mothman so much?
I mean, I think he's adorable looking, or it's adorable looking. I also like its lore. It was just trying to warn us about the bridge. For people who don't know, the lore story actually extends way beyond that, like what the movie covered. Apparently, it's tied to a time-traveling gentleman that will approach people on like wayward streets as well. So there's like a huge backstory if you want to listen to that. But he's also thick. He's got cake. If you've ever seen the Mothman statue, like he's just got to clap those cheeks to warn us next time.
So caked up and traveling with Doctor Who?
Yeah,
Awesome.
adorable too. I mean, it's a moth. So cute.
Bridgette, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am from the Midwest originally, from the Riverbend area, which is primarily what I write about. I went to college for journalism and then ruined my life by going to law school. So now I am a lawyer living back in the Midwest. I just moved back here about a year ago, and it's been awesome. Other than that, I write with what limited free time I have, and I have 4 cats in a big old Victorian we bought. My husband and I are slowly renovating it. It's been a lot of fun.
You've got a cat ranch going.
Yes, we do have a cat ranch going.
Ryan, can you let us know a little bit about yourself?
I went to school for robotics engineering. I have my bachelor's and my master's degrees in robotics engineering. But today I do not do robotics. I just write code for a startup in Boston, and I enjoy that. I only started writing back in 2021. So I've been furiously outputting stories as much as I can, and I've been finding a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
Plim, tell the people who you are.
I left Canada when I was out of college, lived in Japan, Thailand, and went across Europe before coming to the States. And I've been writing a lot. I'm addicted to tea, love scotch, and won't turn down a good plate of nachos.
What got each of you into horror?
Being terrified of everything.
Good answer.
Wanting to terrify everyone with everything.
That's the other side of the coin. So now it's 50-50. Ryan, which side do you come down on?
I just liked reading a lot when I was a kid, and my dad handed me a copy of Carrie and said, "You should read this," when I was a teenager. And I loved it, and I started reading a whole lot of Stephen King after that. And I have Stephen King to thank for my love of horror.
Was your father trying to give you a hint? Like, you need to get these telekinetic powers under control?
I think he's like, "Let's watch the movie together. But you have to read the book first," which instilled in me a very important rule. Always read the book first.
What are some things that freaked you out as a kid? I'm just always curious what movies or toys or comics got under your skin.
Yeah, I had really young parents who had no idea what they were doing. So they just kind of let me watch whatever. Alien was a big thing when I was a kid. I refused to eat dinner with anyone wearing a white t-shirt after that. I was like 4 or 5 years old. And somehow I thought that was the catalyst for the thing popping out of you. They could not understand what was wrong with me.
What's the matter? The food ain't that bad, baby.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. My favorite, though, was I don't remember seeing the thing as a child, but later I saw an animated GIF and realized that I had seen the thing.
You thought it was just your life?
Well, I thought it was just a nightmare I'd had. And I called my dad and said, "Hey, I was watching this clip from the thing." And he set down the phone and yelled to my mom. He's like, "It's your oldest daughter. We fucked her up somehow. I don't know how."
She's recovering the memories.
Yeah.
Ryan, any unexplainable white t-shirts in your childhood?
I loved watching Are You Afraid of the Dark? Absolutely loved it. But when I heard that song, the opening song with like the swing set and swing, that freaked me right out. And like my brother or sister would have the TV on in a different room and I'd hear it and I'd like slam the door and run away. I couldn't see like abandoned playset or whatever. It freaked me out.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. Are You Afraid of the Dark also gave me a lot of core memories that will haunt me forever. Like the end episode of season 1 with the swimming pool. Yeah. I still, indoor swimming pools, like the big like ones, oh man, I still get the creeps.
Growing up in Canada must make Are You Afraid of the Dark seem that much more real and visceral since it was all shot there.
I mean, have you seen our commercials? Like, don't you put it in your mouth? No, okay. So we had a lot of children's PSA commercials, and they were nightmare fuel. Don't you put it in your mouth. It was these puppets singing about how you shouldn't just put random stuff in your mouth, and all the puppet designs were horrifying. So you watch it, and then don't complain to me, complain to the Canadian government for the nightmares.
I will put Safe Search on and Google Don't Put It in Your Mouth.
I was introduced to this by Plum, and yeah.
Nightmare fuel, right?
Absolutely.
But you learned a lesson.
We did learn the lesson.
Always ask someone you love before you put anything in your mouth.
How did you guys meet each other, and how did you come to this particular cryptid?
I think Bridgette should start this because the lore kind of starts with her being terrified of me.
Yeah, we met online in a horror lit group during the pandemic. There were 2 people on the group who had Fry-related avatars and Fry-related names, and I asked if anyone wanted to play a game with me, and Clem said yes, she did. But I thought she was the other Fry-related avatar who was kind of a mean guy, and I was like, oh God, I think this is going to be really awkward and terrible. And then it turned out it was Clem.
And it was still awkward and terrible.
It was still awkward and terrible, but just in a different way. We met Ryan through the same group and really liked her, even though she refuses to play video games with us. We're called the Ho Alien Squad because my father, who was very sick at the time and having difficulty hearing, I had said that I was chatting with someone on my phone. He said, oh, is that your husband, Sean? I said, no, it's, and I didn't know how to explain the 2 of them. So I said, it's my horror author friends. And he thought I said Ho Alien friends. And he was very confused by that. So at that point, we were like, well, we got to run with this now, Ho Alien Squad.
And then part of the lore as well was I had recently started doing digital art again. And Bridgette commissioned me to redraw this strange creature from her hometown that I'd never heard before, and it's spelled Piasa. And
Piasa.
No, you ruined it. I was gonna say, and when I read that, I was like, oh, the Piazza.
Piazza.
Yes,
Piazza.
that Italian cryptid from my hometown. Yeah.
So apparently Ryan and I were saying it wrong the whole time. But it's a cliff drawing, a painting. And so I redrew it to look ridiculously cute, of course. And so now that's kind of our trademark, this weird redrawing of the Piasa bird I made, or the Piasa bird. When I sent Bridgette the art, her first reaction was like, look at his face. He's just like, look at the state of me, Deborah. So that's a whole thing now.
True believers will remember that we discussed the Piasa Bird on episode 31 with Nicholas Day.
Oh.
I'll have to listen to that one.
How did this mutual love of the Piasa Bird develop into Confirmed Sightings, a triple cryptid creature feature?
We were obsessed. We are still obsessed with this strange creature. Like, we have it on shirts and pillows, and I may have made a sexy version.
We all went there in our shirts. And
yeah, we went there in our shirts and took our photo with the Piasa bird. And then we were just talking about how no one really knows it and how much we love cryptids. And then suddenly we're like, yeah, we should do like a anthology where we write Piasa stories. And that kind of evolved from there to be 3 novellas around cryptids. But the Piasa links all 3 together. It does appear in different ways in each one of the novellas.
So, Bridgette, for those listeners who maybe didn't catch episode 31, can you give us a brief description of the actual Piasa bird?
I can. So this is a painting that is on the bluffs over the Great River Road, just north of Alton, Illinois, in a little area called Godfrey near Elsa, Illinois. And the fact is, we do not know who painted it or why. It was noted in several journals from explorers, Lewis and Clark, made mention of it. I believe Pierre Marquette made mention of it as he was going down. They had like rough sketches of what this painting looked like. In, I believe it was 1915, some local dude was like, I'm going to make up a legend about it. So he did, and that is now inscribed beneath the painting, but it's not based on anything except his fanciful invention. So yeah, it's just a weird cave painting that the Boy Scouts maintain there. And it was something that was like part of my childhood. Again, I was always driving past it and I loved it. But when I looked back at it years later, I was like, wow, this is way uglier than I remembered. So I asked Flynn to draw it for me because, again, it's something I love, but I didn't really want the current incarnation of it like on my wall or on my body. I was considering getting a tattoo at the time.
How would you describe the creature?
It has the body of a lion, but with scales. It has talons, claws, 4 claws. It has a long serpentine tail that is forked that rests up over its head. And it has basically wings like an eagle and then the horns of a stag.
And a really grumpy face.
Did you guys have fun working on this project?
Oh, absolutely.
Confirmed Sightings is a triple cryptid creature feature that features 3 novellas, all themed around cryptids and the idea kind of movies. So we've got a Hallmark parody, a sci-fi horror, and a kind of a thriller adventure noir mystery. And a little bonus, I actually did full page artwork to kind of mimic movie posters for each novella. And the cover, the very beautiful cover, was done by Natalie Kovacs at Shapeless Flame on Instagram and Twitter. And the foreword is by Laurel Hightower of the Mothman novella Below. Even if you don't know much about cryptids, I think you'll find something to enjoy because it covers 3 very different takes of approaching cryptid lore, not to mention 3 different subgenres effectively. And it's really just a fun ride. Fun fact, everyone involved was female identifying, and it was kind of deliberate that we did that. So the cover artist, the editor, Molly Halstead, thank you for doing all the formatting. The authors and the press, all female owned, female led. So you would also be supporting that.
Excellent. Bridgette, you opened the collection with your story, A Piasa for Christmas. Can you tell us a bit about your story?
Sure. And first off, the caveat is that it is not the story I was originally tapped to write. I was writing a historical horror story originally. And then I realized that I was so sick of reading about how barges worked and how the trade system worked on the river back then and everything else. And I said, you know, if I do this, somebody's going to read it and say, oh, she got this detail wrong. And I scrapped the entire thing and wrote a Hallmark Christmas love story instead that takes a sharp left turn in the 3rd act.
As fascinating as old-timey barges are, I think you made a good choice.
I thought so too.
Your story is about a would-be makeup and lifestyle influencer who finds romance.
Correct. She comes back from her big city job to her small town, you know, and hopes that maybe she'll find love there the way so many people do in those kind of movies. She does. It's just not in the way she expected.
Spoilers.
Yes.
Her new beau is a Piasa bird.
And of course, relationships with interdimensional beings are difficult. They take a lot of work and a lot of blood sacrifice. It's not for the faint of heart.
Have you written a lot of parody before?
No, actually. This was my first real jaunt into parody. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that it is probably the thing I've written that sounds the most like me, if you know me. Yeah, I was pretty thrilled with the way it turned out.
Your story is very comedic. Is there a through line there that touches on actual relationship struggles, or did you just want to play it all with a very light touch?
Really, I wanted to highlight a trend that I have seen more and more on social media, which is where everybody else notices the red flags except the person in the relationship. Where you'll see there's a lot of influencers out there, or just people who accidentally become internet viral, usually because of some terrible thing their partner has done to them that's then gone viral. I was thinking in particular of the terrible wedding vow one that was going around where the guy is just like basically demeaning her in the wedding vows. And, you know, where everybody in the comments is like, girl, get out. And she's just like, no, you just don't know him like I do. And I'm like, no, you're just too close to the situation. When you get some distance from this, you're going to see that he's actually going to, I almost just spoiled my own story. So terrible things are going to happen if you don't trust your gut, trust your friends, be realistic about your situation.
Do you think a relationship with a cryptid can work?
Not with the Piasa bird. I think that he tends to be very one-sided in his relationships and is more about his own gain and not really looking out for his partner. We've discussed this. We think that both Mothman and Bigfoot would probably be decent boyfriends.
I feel like Mothman might not be the best because you'd totally be able to see if you're going to break up. He might just be like, in 167 days, we will break up. I will break your heart. And you're just like, oh, fuck, thanks. Spoilers.
Or do you think the Mothman would be moth-splaining everything to you because
Exactly.
he knows what's going to happen?
He like sits you down 2 weeks before Christmas. He's like, I'm not going to want that foot massager. And you're like, fuck. Just buy your own gift then. Here's $50.
And surely Bigfoot is emotionally unavailable.
Cuddling with Bigfoot is probably going to be the most
If you can find him.
Right, fair.
Does Bigfoot pump and dump? Because he's always walking away. He's always leaving.
You always see him in profile.
I'm going to refer to Bigfoot as a she for the
that's
duration
true.
of this interview. Is Orly from Turu is...
I feel like Orly would be a good partner. I would trust Orly.
Orly is a solid.
But I think the original Bigfoot needs to do some manscaping at the very least.
At least brush the bugs out.
Unless you're into that.
It depends.
We're not here to kink shame.
Yeah, don't yuck people's yums.
Plim, you follow up with your story, eyeofmoth.exe. What was the inspiration for this story?
Well, I love sci-fi horror. I deliberately kind of aimed to emulate some of my favorite sci-fi horror movies because I wanted to have a kind of a cinematic feel. So Alien and Event Horizon were a lot of things that I looked to when structuring it. And so the premise of eyeofmoth.exe is there is a recon ship that gets orders from the company to check out what's gone wrong with a mining space station out in the middle of nowhere in space because they've sent out a weird message and then went silent. But when they get there, they find that the space station has gone completely nuts. Also, another movie I took a lot of inspiration from.
Jason X?
Yes. Yeah, Jason X. Yeah, Jason X. Amazing movie. So if you take that and you apply it to Mothman, what do you get? You get cybernetic Mothman. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And I like to think it's a pretty wild ride. And the way the Piasa Bird connects is the ship is called the Piasa.
And the ship has a big, weird, grumpy face.
Yes, absolutely. It's painted on the side. Like, you know, those old World War II planes would have like little angry shark faces. Mine has like the disappointed Piasa Bird face.
Awesome. Ryan, what was the inspiration for your story, Once Upon a Time in Turu?
I was reading a book with a group of friends, my horror lit group online where we all met. And I read the description and it said that Bigfoot was murdered and that they were going to investigate this crime. And I was like, oh my God, is this like a cryptid murder mystery? That's amazing. And I read it and the person's name was Bigfoot and there were no cryptids. And I was very disappointed. But my friends were like, cryptid murder mystery, maybe you should write that. And then, you know, when we all started talking about doing something together, I was like latched onto that. Once Upon a Time in Turu got born out of, what if all the cryptids were banished to the same city? What would happen? And I tried to emulate an actual society where there's poor cryptids and rich cryptids. And one of the rich cryptids is found murdered in the poor half of town. And, you know, there's gang battles between the Mothman gang and the Jersey Devil Mafia. And the entire investigation is led by Police Foot Orly. She is Peru's only Bigfoot, of course. She is looking into the death of Kevin, who is the son of the richest family that lives in Peru.
Kevin is a jackalope.
Kevin is a jackalope, yes. There's a lot of cryptids involved. I tried to include as many as I could, not just from North America.
Did you guys learn anything through collaborating? And would you tackle a second novel in the same vein?
We learned so much through collaborating. I mean, for one thing, Clem has done this before, so she was really on the ball with knowing all the different moving parts we had to consider even going into this. So this wouldn't have happened without her. It's just incredible. And Ryan has taken over as the unofficial treasurer of our project. And I admire that she's doing all of the math because, man, I could not handle that at all.
I just want to say I never agreed to be treasurer. And then I was forced into the role by Mothman, pretty much. But yeah, I will say that Pam kept us on the rails and it wouldn't have got done without her. So she made deadlines. She made sure we were meeting them. I was bad at that. I was very bad at that. I think I would absolutely do this again. And if I were to do it again, I'd probably not procrastinate. That would be my number one thing to working with other people is don't procrastinate.
I guess essentially to break down what happened when we started with this idea, we had an idea of when we wanted to get it done, but not really. So we just started writing. Once we got our first drafts done, we started hammering out a more concrete timeline. First, we did self-reviews. So we did 2 rounds where, say, Bridgette reviewed mine, I reviewed Ryan's, Ryan reviewed Bridgette's, and then we did a second draft and reviewed the person's story who we hadn't reviewed yet. After that, we gave ourselves time to go into beta reader review, where we sent it out to separate groups to get feedback from them, created yet another draft, did kind of like final copyright things, and that's when we started really putting the pedal to the metal. At that point, I was like, shit, I haven't started on the art yet. And so I did do that. Ryan's was by far the most detailed because I actually tried to draw out Turu based on her description for people to kind of look at. I styled it after the Indiana Jones movie poster. But yeah, and after that, it was like getting the reviews, the blurbs out to Laurel Hightower and getting it for the launch date. And we actually, at StokerCon this year, I read from it. I think Bridgette didn't, but you read a bit of yours like Ghoulish, and we were selling copies and people were really receptive. So it was really nice to see the hard work kind of pay off.
Was the project timed for StokerCon?
Yeah, I was very strict on that. It's like, it's going out June 1st because I want it for Stoker. And I dragged Ryan crying across the finish line.
She did.
Bridgette, which cryptid would you write your follow-up about? 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, Hodag.
Ryan, 3, 2, 1, go.
The same one. She already gave me the Rise of the Hodag.
Yeah, we're doing the Hodag trilogy.
Plim, are you in
Hodag.
agreement? Hodag?
Hodag.
I think we need a Hodag.
A
sequel.
Hodag Hodown. It's going to be
Hodag.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
See, this is why we're the Alien Host Squad. Because we're all of
Hodag Alien Squad now.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. All right, Plim knows that this is around the time when we start to talk about Halloween. Bridgette, did you trick-or-treat growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any best or worst trick-or-treating stories?
The worst was definitely the year that I was a wind-up ballerina for Halloween, and my mom made me wear a windbreaker because I wanted the costume to be highlighted. She put it underneath, so I kind of looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with like my big, like heavy windbreaker under my ballet leotard. Yeah, that was definitely the worst.
I love how the idea of wind-up ballerina is so specific in terms of silhouette and form-fitting. Did you have a key in your back?
I did have a key in my back. Yeah, it made school that day really difficult.
That is so detail-oriented and everything has to be dialed in so perfectly. And then to stuff a windbreaker under that, oh, that is heartbreaking.
Terrible.
Ryan, how about you?
Probably my favorite memory from Halloween was I got invited to go to my friend's neighborhood. We all had that other neighborhood that was way better for trick-or-treating, right? So we went to her neighborhood. I got way more candy there. So that was excellent. I don't even remember what I was. I did the Scream mask a lot with a knife and the bloody knife and all that. But in her neighborhood, there was a bar and we were, I don't know, like 12. And we went to the bar and they were handing out full-size candy bars. And that was my first full-size candy bar time as a kid, was at the bar in her neighborhood. It was the Acre Bar in Clinton, Massachusetts, for anyone's curious.
And you're like, bars are awesome.
Yeah, full-size candy bars specifically are the best. Yes. I hand those out now at Halloween. We'll settle for nothing else.
That is a baller move. Plim, I need you to unearth a Halloween memory that you did not share in our original interview.
How about I share what I do at Halloween as an adult now? So I spend all my money on decorations and I prepare like a full house. And like the theme is spiders. So every year I collect a little bit more. And so literally these poor children, I think like this past year I made 6 cry, which is always a good moment because then you know you're doing it right. And like to be fair, I do, if the child looks scared, like they're usually with their parent, and I'm like, hey, keep to the left because you'll trigger the spider if you're on the right hand side. So I do try to be nice. I have animatronics, I have fog machines, I deck out the entire walkway, so you have to go through this hell of spiders just to get your candy. And while I don't buy like the full-size chocolate bars, they do get like a full handful of candy when they arrive because they have earned it at that point.
Bridgette, did you have Mischief Night where you grew up?
No, but I also lived in a neighborhood with a lot of police officers that lived on that block. So
You lived in Copland where Mischief Night was outlawed. How about you, Ryan? Oh, wait, you're from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You had Mischief Night.
Yeah, people definitely did that. I never partook in it.
Oh, sure. Wink, wink. You don't want all the cops from Bridgette's old neighborhood finding out.
mhm.
Certainly not. We definitely got toilet paper, and like our neighborhood would all get it. I never did it. I was all about the candy.
Plim,
If there was one in Winnipeg, I didn't know about it and didn't participate, but we got toilet papered. And once some kids threw our pumpkin through the front window.
holy shit. That's like old school Mischief Night.
Yeah, but it also happened like Halloween night. So it wasn't like it didn't happen a separate night.
Was it a jack-o'-lantern that came smashing through your window, or
Yeah.
was it an uncarved pot? Okay.
They Ichabod us.
It kind of sounds awesome. Bridgette, did you have any costumes that were not ruined by your mom's insistence that you cram
See,
a
and the
windbreaker
thing
in there?
is, in all fairness to my mom, she was also the reason for most of my Halloween costumes because I originally just wanted to be a ballerina. She was like, no, boring. So I was a wind-up ballerina instead.
I love that idea. Wow.
yeah,
What
totally.
parent wouldn't be like, done, easy, leotard? Yes.
Yeah, no, it had to be over the top.
Boring.
I was
Overruled.
Cleopatra one year and she did the whole thing, like it was crazy. And but my best one was third grade. She dressed me up as the Statue of Liberty, and my crown and my torch lit up, and you could see people like standing in the crown and everything. She made me memorize the poem from the base of it and recite it at will. So
Your
yeah,
mom
that was
sounds awesome.
she really is.
Wow.
Actually, her mom is a #1 Plim fan.
She is. She lets me know when she likes Plim stories more than mine.
Does she say, Bridgette, your story was boring?
She's like, yours was great. Oh, but Pam's, I just love Pam's. You know? Yeah.
Thanks, Mama Brave.
Where can people get their hands on Confirmed Sightings?
Confirmed Sightings is available all places that you can buy books. So if you want to go to the Zon or Barnes and Noble, any place like that, it's available both digital and paperback. And let us know what you think. Reviews are always appreciated.
Plim, where can people find your stuff online?
plmcmillan.com. That's my website. You can find all my socials there. That's where I also blog. And you can also find the links to my YouTube channel and to my podcast, the Dead Languages podcast.
And Ryan, where can people find more of your stuff online?
I am Ryan Marie 47 on Twitter, Instagram, and I have a link tree, which is also /Ryan Marie 47. It has links to Confirmed Sightings and several other anthologies that I'm in, as well as where you can read some of my fiction free online or find me in Discord. I'm also Ryan Marie 47 over there.
And finally, Bridgette.
I am BD Brave everywhere. That's BEEDEE Brave, one word. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere, including bdbrave.com.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting about cryptids with me.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Great time.
Please subscribe and follow. Links are in the show notes. You can find me at jeffccarter.com and hit the link to pick up my collection, We Bleed Orange and Black, 31 fun-sized tales for Halloween. Until next time, stay spooktacular.
Put it in your mouth. Don't you put it in your mouth. Don't you stuff it in your face. Don't stuff it in your face. Though it might look good to eat. Though it might look good to eat. And it might look good to taste. And it might look good to taste. You could get sick. Ick. Real quick. Ick. Real sick. Real ick. Don't you put it in your mouth. Till you ask someone you love. That's right, sis. If it's okay to eat. If it's okay to eat. Like a muffin or a beet.
Like a muffin or a beet.
If you don't know just what it is. Remember, boys and girls. Don't put it in your mouth. Hey, what am I doing? I don't even like beets.
This is a lot of hot chocolate talk, and you're going on and on about these Canadian food laws, but did the food laws not cover our beloved candy corn?
Do you want me to Google it right now?
Yes.
I will say, for the record, candy corn is excellent.
Thank you.
And if it's better in Canada, then I want that.
We've got a point on the board for Ryan.